I surrender to the Almighty, my mind, speech and body. Vanakkam. We are reading the book called Tirukkural, which is given to us by our Tamil ancestors. It is a book written by Thiruvalluvar and it talks about Aram. Aram is nothing but the natural order found in nature. Several years after the time of Thiruvalluvar, Parimmelalagar writes commentaries for this book, and this is what we are reading now. Parimmelalagar and Thiruvalluvar, even though they were separated by hundreds of years, they both had the same understanding of Aram, and that is why we read Parimmelalagar's commentaries to understand this book. Human beings have searched for happiness in their lives, and our ancestors were no different. Our elders found that there are such higher states of existence called Padam, where only happiness is experienced, and a space called Veedu, which is a state of endless and indestructible happiness. And to show us the path to these states, elders like Thiruvalluvar and Parimmelalagar are writing this book. They tell us that human beings can learn to grow in love and attain Padam and Veedu when they follow the path shown by Tirukkural. Two Arams are discussed in this book. The first one is called as the Il Aram, which is the Aram for a householder, where a person learns to form healthy attachments in life. And the second one is called as the Turavaram, which is the Aram for letting go of attachments as we move towards a higher purpose. The preface of any book is called as Payiram in Tamil. The purpose of the Payiram is to tell the readers what is the book about and who should read it and why. So in this book Tirukkural, the author Thiruvalluvar or Valluvar has written a section called Preface, which has 4 chapters. But before getting into that, Parimmelalagar also writes a preface to his work, which gives us an introduction to the first section of Tirukkural. And we have finished reading the preface. It's only 1.5 pages, but I have been talking about it for the past 5 or 6 videos. In the preface itself, Parimmelalagar shows us the depth of Tirukkural. There is a famous Tamil poet called Bharadiyar who composed many poems in the 19th century, and in one of his poems he writes about how our education system is a failing model. He says, coming from the modern education system, we would know how to read fast, quick and cover many books in a short time, but our education fails in giving us the ability to see the depth of the author's mind when reading his or her book. Bharadiyar says, Anisai Kaviyam Aayirang Karkinum Aazhndhirukkum Kaviyulam Kaangilar. It means, even though we may have read 1,000 books, we would still fail to grasp the depth of the mind of the author. So here in this preface, Parimmelalagar is helping us to see the depth of Tirukkural in the original way that Valluvar intended. Parimmelalagar takes a gradual step-by-step approach. First, he told us that our final destination in this journey of the Veer is something called as Veedu, which is a space of endless and indestructible happiness, and it is possible for humans to get there. In order for us to get there, he said that elders usually talk about 4 subjects. They are Aram, Porul, Inbam and Veedu. And Veedu is something which cannot be explained in words, but the path to it is Turavu, or letting go of attachments. Then Parimmelalagar defined Aram as the do's and don'ts, that is Vidittana Seidal and Vilakkiyade Olithal, and he explained that Aram has 3 parts: Ozhukam, Vazhakku and Dandam, which translates to discipline, dispute and punishment. So we have covered all of these in detail earlier, so I am only giving an overview. Ozhikam is following the do's and don'ts as given for a particular varnam and ashramam for a long period of time. And when someone breaks from their Ozhikam and lies about it, then we have a dispute or a case. In Tamil we call this as the Vadakku. When the wrongdoer is identified, punishment or dandam is given to bring the person back on the path of Aram. Now Tirukkural talks only about the do's and don'ts and leaves out the dispute and the punishment aspects of Aram. Then we saw that the Varnashrama Dharmam serves as a base. The book is going to address the Ozhikam for the Grihastham or the householder and the Sannyasam Ashramam. Illaram is the Ozhikam for the Grihasthan or the householder, and Turavaram is the Ozhikam for the Sannyasi or someone who is in the stage of letting go of all the attachments in life. So this is how Parimazhalagar sets the stage for us to enter the main book. What I have said so far is the summarized version of Parimazhalagar's Urai Payiram. Now I think it is quite amazing to see how a few thousand years ago someone had this kind of clarity of thought and they had the ability to approach the subject in a very systematic fashion. This Urai Payiram section also gives us an insight into the nature of the ancient Tamil civilization and the quality of the learned people of their time. Now, no matter how wise and intelligent a person is, he or she has to have the blessings of a higher power to make her skill useful to the society. Many of us struggle to believe in this idea, but in our own lives too, we do come across instances where talented and skilled doctors sometimes fail in their treatment for reasons unknown to them. Sometimes when all the fundamentals seem right, things still seem to go wrong. In those moments, we realize that there's probably something else that's higher than our intelligence that's at work in our lives. So Valluvar bows down to that higher power in the very first chapter of this book. In Tamil culture, even today, it is customary to pray to God before starting any work. Even if you are going to write a letter, people place a small symbol at the top of the page. It is called as the Pillayar Sudi. It denotes God Ganesha, who is the remover of obstacles. We will see more about the Pillayar Sudi later. The point is, such a practice is still followed and it seems to have been given to us by our early ancestors. So now we are stepping into the first chapter of the book. I pray to God that we will enter the book in the right manner and all the things that have to be said will be said and will be absorbed by each and every one of us as intended. The first chapter of the book is titled as Kadavul Vazhthu. Kadavul is a Tamil word. It means God. Vazhthu means a song that is written in praise of something as a sign of gratitude to say thank you. So Kadavul Vazhthu literally means in praise of God. Most Tamil literary works start with a Kadavul Vazhthu. Authors usually begin their work by offering a prayer to God. Now Tamil grammar says that the Kadavul Vazhthu or this praise of God can be done in two ways. That is, the first one, the author can choose whichever form of God that he or she likes and offer a prayer to that God. And in Tamil, this type of Kadavul Vazhthu is called as the Vazhipadu Kadavul Vazhthu. Vazhipadu Kadavul Vazhthu. Now the second way to compose the Kadavul Vazhthu is to choose the God that is appropriate for the subject that the author is going to write about and offer a prayer to that God. For example, Saraswati is worshipped as the goddess of education. So if an author is going to write a book about education, then she may offer her prayers to Saraswati. Goddess Lakshmi is worshipped as the goddess of wealth. So if an author wants to write about wealth or wealth related concepts, then she may offer her prayers to Goddess Lakshmi. So this is the second way of composing the Kadavul Vazhthu, where the author bows down to the God that is associated to the subject of her work. And in Tamil, this type of கடவுள் வாழ்த்து is called as the ஏற்புடை கடவுள் வாழ்த்து. ஏற்புடை கடவுள் வாழ்த்து. Now all of these Tamil words, if you cannot remember, that's perfectly alright. It is enough if you just grasp the concepts. Now, Parimai Azhagar says that the கடவுள் வாழ்த்து in Tirukkural belongs to the second type. That is the ஏற்புடை கடவுள் வாழ்த்து, where the author bows down to the subject that he is going to talk about. Now we are going to pause here and digress a little to understand a few other things. Now what is this thing that we called as the world around us? Today we learn that the world is made up of atoms and molecules and subatomic particles and so on. But our ancestors took a different approach to viewing the world around us. Let's have a look at their approach. What is the world? They say that the world is a collection of different kinds of things. That's all. There are living things and non-living things. Under the living things, we have those that can move and things that don't move, right? Things that don't move are plants and trees. And in Tamil, we call this group as a Tavaram. And then we have things that can move like humans and animals. And these are called as Sangamam in Tamil. So this world is effectively a collection of living and non-living things. That's all. So, okay, so far so good. So if the world is just a collection of things, then what do we mean by a thing? They tell us that a thing is nothing but a collection of something called gunas. Guna. Guna can be translated as a quality or an attribute or a property. For example, if I take a white rose and if I have to describe it, I would say that it has soft petals, it has white petals, it has a green stem, it has sharp thorns and so on. These are called as the gunas or the properties of a white rose. In our normal world view, we think in this order, that is, here is a white rose and its properties are white colored petals, green colored stem, sharp thorns and so on. But our ancestors changed their order of thinking. They said the properties of the white petals, green stem and sharp thorns collectively form an object that we call as the rose. We are used to thinking that object is there and then its properties are such and such. But they are showing us that the properties are not present in the object. Rather, it is a collection of properties that make an object. At first, this may not seem like a big difference, but this is a big shift in thinking. And this kind of thinking made them discover many underlying patterns in the world. For example, if I remove the property of whiteness from the white rose, it's no longer a white rose, it's something else. And when you take out all the gunas, the green stem, the sharp thorn, etc., then we are left with nothing. So they define a thing as nothing but a collection of properties or gunas. And when you remove a guna or a property, it is no longer the same object, it becomes a new object. You see, all of us are humans, all of us have 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, 2 hands, etc. But we are not all the same. We differ in our gunas. So I hope you are with me so far. Okay, so now we know that the world is made of things and things are made of gunas. Next, how many things are there in this world? Thousands? Millions? Millions of thousands? Then each thing will have many properties or gunas, isn't it? What could be the total number of gunas that we can expect to see around us? Will it be a number more than the number of things? The Neetas, or those who renounced all their attachments, they tell us that there are only 3 gunas. Even though we may see many qualities around us, fundamentally there are only 3 gunas. It is a combination of these 3 gunas that have created all of the objects around us. And I find this concept quite amazing, that we can somehow describe everything around us as a combination of only 3 gunas. How is this even possible? But it looks like many complicated things around us come from a combination of a few fundamental elements. For example, when you go to an Indian wedding, the wedding feast will easily have 50 to 70 food items, but fundamentally there are only 6 tastes: sweet, salt, chili hot, bitter, sour, and something called astringent. In Tamil we call this as tuvarpu. It is the taste of the banana peel or the banana flower. All of the food dishes around us are nothing but a combination of these 6 tastes, nothing extra. Similarly, in music notes, there are only 7 basic notes, but we have more than 1000 melodies, or what we call as ragas. So similarly, the gunas that make all of these things around us are only 3. In Tamil, the 3 gunas are called as Satvikam, Rajasam and Tamasam. Satvikam, Rajasam and Tamasam. All the objects are a mixture of these 3 gunas. The Satvikam guna is responsible for all the good and creative things like knowledge, intelligence, softness, gentle, kind, nourishing. All these are classified as the Satvikam guna. The Rajasam guna is responsible for activity. All of our actions towards a particular goal, that fierce energy with which soldiers go to war, these are all Rajasic gunas. Every day we get up and go to work to earn money. This is example of Rajasic guna. The Tamasam guna is responsible for laziness, intoxication, heavy, not moving, stagnant, drowsy, distraction, ignorance, dullness and incorrect understanding. This is important. You see, if someone understands that 2 plus 2 is 4, then they are in correct understanding. But if someone has understood that 2 plus 2 is 5, then they are in incorrect understanding. And this kind of a haziness or lack of clarity in our thinking and understanding is what we called as mayakam in Tamil, and ignorance causes such mayakam. So all of these, ignorance, mayakam, they are all classified as tamasic gunas. In the example of the white rose that I had mentioned earlier, the softness of the petal is a Satvikam guna. The sharpness of the thorns, that is Rajasic. The quality of the thick, hard stem, this could be classified as Tamasic. And this entire world, if you think about it, can be described as a combination of these 3 gunas. Another thing is, all of us are affected by these 3 gunas. There is something called as a Panchangam. It is a book in the Hindu tradition. It has many useful information. One among the information that it carries is a table called as a Guna timetable or the Guna Attavanai in Tamil. And using our date and time of birth, it shows us which guna would be predominant in our lives. When I learn how to read that book, I shall explain more about it. See, the gunas, they say it affects our mind. Each and every day we go through these 3 gunas. Sometimes we are in a Satvikam mindset and some other times we are in a Rajasic mindset. We just haven't realized it as our gunas. We tend to think that it is all in our brain. I will give you a few examples. Sometimes when we are working on a difficult problem and we feel stuck and confused, this is a Tamasic guna, and in this moment we won't be able to see the solution. But then when we take a break and we just breathe some fresh air, and after a while the Satvikam guna will begin to strike, and then we will be able to see the answer staring right at us. It's the same brain, but now we have the Satvikam guna. Another example, a neighbor or a friend who is in need of money may approach us to borrow some money. We would immediately agree to help and ask them to come the next day. And the next day we could change our mind and we would regret our decision to lend the money, and we would probably tell the friend that we don't have any spare money to lend. What happened overnight? Did we change our brain between last night and now? It's the change in the guna that puts us in a different mindset. That's why our elders have always insisted that whenever you want to do a good deed, do it immediately when you are in the Sattvika mindset. Because if you leave that mindset, then the Rajasic or the Tamasic guna would come and we may not want to do the same good deed as earlier. Another example, when I see a beggar on the road, I want to immediately help out. I put my hands in my purse to take out a 10 rupee note. As I take my hand out, I leave behind 5 rupees thinking, this man seems hale and healthy. He is probably just lazy. Why can't he go and earn his own money? Then as I draw my hand out of the purse, I begin to think, I think he is trying to cheat me and I don't want to get cheated. That's it. I leave behind all the money in my purse and I pull my empty hand out and I tell the beggar I don't have any money to give. So the mind just went from Satvikam and to Tamasam in just a few seconds, from the time I put my hand inside to pick up the note till the time it came out. So Thiruvalluvar, Avvayar and all our ancestors, they all tell us that when the Satvikam guna strikes and you want to do something good, you better do it immediately. And contrarily, when a Tamasic guna like anger strikes and we want to hurt someone or something, they ask us to wait and react only the next day. They say fix a time for the next day to go and do the bad deed, something like tomorrow at 10 a.m. I will go and I will beat up the enemy. Because this way we are giving some time for the guna to change from the tamas to satvikam, and we might not be as destructive as the day before. It is said that whoever understands the nature of these can escape from the impact of guna changes. There are evidences in history where the guna changes affected people and they had to face difficult consequences. I will tell you about one such instance that happened to someone famous called Manikka Vasagar, who is the author of a very beautiful Tamil devotional poem called Tiruvasagam. A little background information. There are 12 big volumes of poems called Tirumurai in Tamil, composed by various authors in praise of God Shiva between the 6th and the 12th century. They are considered sacred and are sung even today by Shiva worshippers everywhere. And it is believed that just reciting them, even without understanding its meaning, would bring a positive energy in one's lives. Because these poems are composed by people who had reached a higher space of existence by worshipping God Shiva. And on the surface, they may seem like songs that were written in praise of the God, but as you spend more time with it, they will begin to reveal many hidden secrets of creation. Now, the first 7 volumes of the Tirumurai are written by 3 great devotees of Shiva called Sambandar, Appar and Sundarar. These 7 volumes together are called as Devaram. The 8th volume consists of 2 poems called Tiruvasakam and Tirukkovayar. And these are composed by another great devotee by the name of Manikka Vasagar or Manivasagar in short. Manikka Vasagar was the king's prime minister who renounced his position in search of a higher truth. Now, the poem Tiruvasagam needs special mention because it is full of divine experience, divine love, and seekers search for the truth. Not only is it devotional, but it's also heart melting, and it is considered to be one among the best in Tamil literature. Now, the legend says that God Shiva appeared in the form of a guru and sat under a tree and asked Manivasagar to come with him to Veed, to give him mukti. But Manivasagar, who is such a great devotee of Shiva, he refused to go. And then the god Shiva disappeared. Now, Manivasagar couldn't believe what he just did. He was worshipping Shiva all his life for this moment, and when the moment arrived, he just refused to go. So he regretted his decision so badly and he cried in pain and anguish. And it is with that sentiment that he wrote this poem called Tiruvasagam, and that is why it is supposed to be heart melting. He cried and sang the song to regain the experience of God Shiva's presence. What happened to Manivasagar? It was the same brain that worshipped Shiva with such devotion and also refused to go when God appeared in front of him and cried in regret. It is said that it is the guna that changed. The brain was the same, but it was a guna that changed. So all of us undergo this in our lives. If you think about your life, you would have seen that we make a decision and then we regret about it. In Tamil, we call this as the Kali Virakkam. Kali Virakkam. That is, we cry in regret. Our mind is not steady. It runs in all different directions, that sometimes it even scares us and confuses us. Sometimes it says, oh, I love her, I should marry her and spend the rest of my life with her. And when we actually get her, it says, why did I even marry her? Oh my God. And this is the work of gunas. Our ancestors had used this understanding of gunas to explain so many things in life. They say that in the early ages of our lives, we have a maximum of Satvikam guna in our mind. And so they allocated this early phase of life for learning and education. They asked us to study and learn many new things in this phase. And when we reach our 15 to 20 years of age, now we have more of Rajasic energy, and this phase was allocated to work and raising a family and earn money. And in the last years of our life, we have more of tamas energy. And so here we are advised to retire from work and family and spend time in seeking the truth. They say that this is natural to us. This kind of a change in the guna is natural and no one forces us. Even a single day shows these three gunas. The morning time is associated with Satvikam. The noon is associated with Rajasam, and the night time is associated with Tamasam guna. The Tamasam guna is said to be dominant in the night time, so this time is prone to kindle such Tamasic guna in us, and we tend to do many wrongful activities in this time. Thieves start their work in this Tamasic time. Our elders even gave a color for these gunas. During the early morning time, when there is Satvikam guna around us and we stand in the daylight and you close our eyes, we will see the color white. So the color white is associated with the Satvikam guna. And if we close our eyes in the noon time, we will see the color red. So red is associated with the Rajasam guna. And in the night time, when we close our eyes, it is just black. So the color black is associated with the Tamasam guna. Let us take our human body. Even our body shows these three gunas. Above the neck is considered Satvikam. Between the neck and the hip is Rajasam, and below the hip is considered Tamasam. The head has all the 5 organs of receiving intelligence from the world: eyes, nose, mouth, skin, ears. So this is considered as Satvikam. And whenever young people seek the blessings of elders, the elders will touch their head and bless the children. They touch the head because it has all the organs of intelligence, and so it is equal to blessing the whole body. This portion of the body, below the neck up to the hip, is working to create food and oxygen needed for the body, and it is to feed this stomach that we run behind money in our lives. So this portion of the body is associated with the Rajasam guna, and all the reproductive and the excretory organs are placed below the hip. So all the part of the body that is below the hip is associated with the Tamasam guna. Now, if we learn to make the guna changes work to the benefit of our life, then we can gain a lot, isn't it? See, when we start observing ourselves, we can identify what guna we are operating under. For example, when we are writing an exam, it would be very helpful if we can keep ourselves in the Satvikam guna. We will be calm, creative, and we will be able to recollect our lessons easily and really do well. When we have to attend to a lot of work in our office, we have so many files to visit, then if we can somehow bring ourselves to our Rajasic guna, then we can accomplish more. For engaging in sexual activity, if we can somehow bring our Tamasic guna, then we can reach the peak of sensual pleasure. So it would be very useful if we can change the guna as per our requirements, isn't it? But how do we control our gunas? Is that even possible? Our elders showed us that there is a way to control the gunas that strikes our mind, and we will get into that in the next video. We will also see how all of this is related to Tirukkural. For now, I shall end here, and thank you all for listening. Nandri Vanakkam.